Hello, my name is FlyOver and welcome to the new video. In today's video I decided to do something, well, unexpected, let's say like that. Maybe it's not, but I believe that during this tutorial about PMDG I was not clear enough. So, and maybe those tutorials where I cut them out like in 3 videos, that whole flight and everything was not clear enough. So I'm gonna do one whole video, whole flight from setting up everything until descent and landing and parking and everything. So everything will be in one video and I will try to be slow and to explain as much as I can. Okay, so if you watch my previous video, then you know that I load my aircraft now in the state of APU is running already. So it's not fully cold and dark. It's APU running and IRS is already aligned, but my fuel is still not loaded. It's default 11 tons. I will load it later and you don't have to worry about that. When you load your aircraft in this state, if you load your fuel later in FMC, it's gonna be fine. It will not spend, the APU will not spend a lot of your fuel. It will just spend that much that you won't even notice. Okay, so for this today flight, I decided to choose a familiar route. So actually, or route, whatever it is, I decided to choose a familiar one, and just give me a second. I don't have it open here. One moment. Well, actually, I can bring the little nav map because it's already set up. So it's our familiar route or route, whatever. Sirmi M725 Rudik from Split to Zagreb in Croatia. We already know that route and I'm going to fly that flight. So you can actually learn this aircraft on some familiar route that you already know from before when we do all that Garmin tutorials and everything. And it's a nice short flight, it's not too long, so it won't be boring because all the time we have something to do. See, top of climb, top of descent is very short. So I want to tell you something. Maybe you have problem about deciding transitions. And I'm gonna show you how actually little nav map can help you about that. If we go up here and then we are choosing our arrival and we choose our arrival Rudik to Zulu. So this is our arrival, you can see. And then you will see that actually last waypoint in your Rudik to Zulu, if you open this plus here, last waypoint is Exxon. So it's this one, Exxon. Now we are approaching to ILS runway 04. Now how we know which one we're gonna choose? Are we going to choose ILS Y or ILS Zulu? Or if there is some other ILS? Simple. You just open this plus and you can see ILS Y have transition Pisarovina, transition Velika Gorica and transition Zagreb 36. So that's not our arrival because it doesn't have Exxon transition. So if you open ILS Zulu here, you will see that we have Exxon transition. And then simple and easy. When you wanna add that to your flight plan, you just click on Exxon transition, right click and insert, and it will insert together your transition and approach everything in your flight plan here. So see, it will say, if you go and click on approach, it will just say insert approach ILS Zulu. But if you right click on Exxon transition within ILS Zulu, it will insert approach ILS Zulu with transition Exxon into flight plan. And what is our transition actually? We can open that transition Exxon and we can see the transition Exxon is actually from Exxon to Zagreb 401. And if we zoom here, we can see actually this is our transition. This is our transition from Exxon to Zagreb 401. Okay, now, for example, what will happen if we choose Godla transition? You can see that is Godla to 401. But we don't need it because we're coming to Exxon, right? If we have some other flight plan, if we come in from Germany or from Austria, we will come to Godla and then we will choose Godla transition. Okay, let's close. Let's see transition Tafni. Tafni, also, if we have different flight plan that end up on Tafni or nearby, then we can choose Tafni and it's going to make our transition through Tafni. If now I choose Tafni transition, it will go to Exxon, to Tafni, and then back to Zagreb. You know, that's why we need to know what is our transition. And that's how actually you decide. Very simple, very easy. Super easy. Okay, let's go to the flight plan. So we have our flight plan. Departure runway will be 05 on Split. We are going to depart via Sirmi 1 Whiskey departure. Sirmi 1 Whiskey, our standard departure. And there is something about this departure and PMDG. I'm gonna explain that to you later when we enter in the FMC. And I will tell you actually some good news. Okay. So, we are going to depart via Whiskey, Sirmi 1 Whiskey departure. We are fly our flight plan to Sirmi waypoint to Monid, which is actually just part of the airway M725, and then we are going to Rudik, and then we are entering Rudik to Zulu departure, arrival, sorry, Rudik to Zulu arrival. This is our arrival all the way from Rudik to Exxon, and as you can see here, we have top of descent. We need to be at 8,800 feet here, and we need to be at 4,000 feet on Exxon, and we need to be at 3,000 feet on this waypoint, which is just before the ILS, just before the glide slope. Okay, so that is the plan, and I can confirm you everything by the charts later, but for now let's stick to the little nav map because it's how to say, it's better to view, to see. Don't pay attention of this aircraft. This is IVAO aircraft. I have traffic IVAO on, so somebody just flying, and it's gonna be on our video. Well, fine. Let's move that aside now. We don't need it. We need to enter our fuel. And our fuel we have in our operational flight plan. And we're gonna open that. Here, you already know how to read operational flight plan. I don't have to tell you anything. So let's go here. Let's go to FS action. Fuel. Our total fuel for today is 5,734. So 5,734 according to the flight plan. Now we have loaded this fuel. Okay. Now we go to the payload and we're gonna enter zero fuel weight, and our zero fuel weight for today is 47,428. So 47.4. 47.4. Okay, zero fuel weight. There you go. Now you go to the next page. No, sorry, not here. Not here. That's it. We loaded aircraft. Okay, now we are going to menu and we are going to FMC. And then we're gonna check first our database. Is it good? Is it valid? And then we are going to position in it. We're gonna tell the FMC that we are on Split Airport. And that's it. And then you click on route. And you already have Split Airport here because you type it there. It is smart and it's gonna leave it here. And I told you already how to download the flight plan from SimBrief. So I have already company route. And I'm going just continue on this one and write Lima Delta Zulu Alpha. And click on the company route. And it is going to load my flight plan immediately. Now just need to enter flight number. And it's going to be Balkan Fly 666. That's my flight number. You don't have to enter runway. You can enter runway if you want. You don't have to. But I already choose here runway 5, let's say. And then we go to activate and press execute. Now we're going to departure arrival. And we're going to choose our departure. And see, because we enter runway there, it will already choose the runway 05. Otherwise it will not. And then you have to click on it. But now you don't have to click because it's already active, because we choose it on the previous page. Now we're searching for Sirmi 1 Whiskey. Sirmi 1 Victor. One more, Sirmi 1 Whiskey. Press and execute. And now look it up. There you go. We have Sirmi 1 Whiskey. Usually PMDG, see, interesting, now it doesn't do that. But PMDG, all PMDG products have a little bit problem with navigation. And they claim that they will fix it together with 737-600, which supposed to come out somewhere in June. So very soon. They actually working totally to revamp this navigation and to make it properly. So I am eagerly expecting that update, and when come on the 600 it will be update for 700, and then 800 which will come somewhere in August will also have that navigational update, hopefully. I mean, that's what I said. I hope they will manage to do it, and I sincerely hope that they will finally fix that navigation, because they really have super obsolete navigation. And sometimes you can see, and don't be confused, sometimes you will see that this magenta line flickering here, flickering. Don't pay attention, it's gonna be good. You just fly your flight, it's gonna be good. But sometimes it just flickering. You will see, maybe it will start flickering. Interesting. Usually always on Sirmi 1 Whiskey it's flickering, but now it doesn't. I don't know why. Maybe because it's zoomed too much or something. Interesting. It really don't want to flicker now. Ah, cool. Okay. Anyway, they claim they're gonna fix it, so hopefully they will. This is actually very nice. This is how actually that departure is supposed to look like. But sometimes it has balloon over here and balloon over here, and I don't know what they're doing, but interesting. Now it's good. I don't know. It was yesterday some kind of update. Maybe they do something already with it. I don't know. I cannot say, because I know that it was actually cosmetic update yesterday. So I don't know. Maybe they did it. Anyway. We choose our departure. Let's go back to index. Let's go to arrival, and we already know that we need ILS Zulu, so we're gonna choose ILS Zulu, and we're gonna find Rudik 2 Zulu with transition XN. That's what I explained just recently, right? And we're gonna execute that. Now we're gonna go to the legs and check if there is any discontinuity. It shouldn't be. it shouldn't be. It should be just fine, and there is no discontinuity. So let's just switch here to the plan. Let's switch to the plan, and then let's go step by step. You click here on step, and let's just see the whole flight. Rudik 611. There is Exxon, there is 401, there is our 3000 feet, and there is our airport. Everything is fine. We can switch back to map, and zoom 10 can stay, that's fine, or even zoom 5 for takeoff. It's gonna be easier actually to fly if you have zoomed in. Okay, so that is done. Departure arrival setup. Let's click on init ref. Let's click on 0 fuel weight, and it's gonna copy it from there where you enter. So you can just enter here. And then we have reserve fuel. Reserve fuel is something I also read from the operational flight plan. And today we have 2.6 tons of reserve fuel because I put 30 minutes of fuel extra, right? Okay, cost index is 12. I already showed you where to read cost index from the operational flight plan. And our altitude for the flight will be flight level 200. So we are going to click flight level 200. And we have average wind of 265 with 41 knots. So 265 with 41 knots. That will be our average cruise wind. Transition altitude on Zagreb is 9,500 feet. So we're gonna set up that. We're gonna execute, and now we're going to N1 limit. Now, for this thing, I already show you that I have calculator. You can use TopCat also if you have paid, because that is paid application. You can use TopCat. TopCat is also very good. I don't have TopCat. I'm thinking about, but it's a very old application and it's not anymore updated. You still can buy it. This is also paid application, but if you download it from the same page, if you download it on your phone, actually it's going to be free. So I am going to put the link in the description, and where you can actually download this calculator. Okay. So airport split. Oh, sorry. We need to choose 737-700. Runway 05. No intersection. We are flying from the beginning of the runway. And what I'm going to need now is weather information. So wind today is variable 1 knot. So there is almost no wind. So we can just say 1 knot. That's it. Temperature is 27. Ooh, warm. Nice. UNH 1013. And our takeoff weight for our flight today, our takeoff weight is 52 tons and 935 kg. So 52 tons and 935 kg. Okay. So that is our data that we need. And then when we click calculate, it's gonna give us V1, V rotate, V2. It's gonna give us a flaps, a runway, and we have takeoff gross weight. That's it. And we have our selected temperature. So our selected temperature 67 Celsius. We're gonna type here 67. That is going to be our selected temperature, and I'm gonna move that to another screen so I can click here without that thing going out. So 67. We will take D-rate takeoff 1 with normal climb. I usually use normal climb. I don't use derated climb. I use normal climb, so I switch it to normal, but I'm using derated takeoff 1. That is 22k derate. Okay, so let's click on takeoff, and you remember it was flap 5. You click here to get a center of gravity and put it back, and it tells us that we need to trim for 5.21 degrees. So let's just crank this up until this arrow pass 5, because we cannot actually know where is 21 exactly, 0.21. So when we pass 5 for a quarter or something, that is going to be just fine. That's it. And now we have our speeds. So V1 exactly same like here, 116. V2 is 119. Okay, and calculator actually give me a V2 speed of 123. Here is 127. So I think I will better choose the highest speed, because it's relatively short runway, but it's not short, but I will better choose higher speed. So now when we have our 127 speed, we can set up that in our MCP 127. You can add here, but it should automatically already add plus 10. So you shouldn't add 10. Some people add 10 on this speed, and there is no error if you add 10 to that speed, so it will be actually 137. But I don't think that you need. I believe that FMC already automatically calculate that plus 10 and put it here for us, so you don't have to do it. We can set up our flight altitude now. So it's gonna be flight level 200. We cannot arm yet that, because flight directors are not, and auto throttle. I believe we can arm now. LNAV cannot be armed, and I will tell you why. Because of this turn. If you have straight out departure and next waypoint is straight out in front of the runway or somewhere here in the angle less than 90 degrees, then you will be able to arm LNAV immediately. But for now, you cannot arm LNAV until you are like 800 feet from the ground, and then it will allow you to arm LNAV. Otherwise cannot. So that's why we cannot. Sometimes it will happen that you will click and it doesn't want to arm your LNAV. It will not arm LNAV because of that. If you have departure that have immediately right or left turn for more than 90 degrees, it will not allow you to arm LNAV. Okay. Auto brake on RTO, rejected takeoff. Okay. And with that actually we can conclude our setup. We can put on this FMC legs, and here we will have our speeds and everything. That is good. And what next we gonna do? QNH is 1013 as it is. And what next we gonna do? Let's go up on the overhead panel. Let's prepare our engines to start. So what we're gonna do is actually turn on the fuel pump and wait until low pressure go. I intentionally didn't start these fuel pumps, and let me show you why. If you check here, this is your wing tanks, this is your central tank. See, in central tank we have so little fuel that actually fit in the wing tanks, and we don't need to fill central tank. So that's why I didn't start these fuel pumps, because if I start them, they will work on empty and actually maybe become broken or something. It's not good to run the fuel pumps on empty tanks. So no need to run these fuel pumps of central tank, because no need. So you just run this wing tank fuel pumps. Okay. Next thing, we're gonna set up our cruise altitude in the cabin pressurization, and landing altitude is around 300 feet, so it can stay like that. And now what we can do is switch the first engine to ground, and we can go down, here, and we are waiting our N2 to become 25. So 25. And then we're gonna release the fuel. Before that, pull the parking brake. It's smart. Well, it's past 25, so we can release the fuel. And meanwhile, I wanna check actually, that is something that I should do before. Ground services removed chocks and close the door. Disconnect ground power and also close the doors. See? Everything is closed now. That is something I should do actually before I even start the engine, but it's okay. So we are monitoring engine and we hear click. So that click mean that engine has started. See? It go back to off. This ignition can be on both. It's okay. So now we're gonna turn this next engine. And we're gonna go down and we are monitoring for 25 and 2. (22, 23, 4, 5). Now you can release the fuel and we can monitor and see how our engine is slowly starting. When it started, when engine is fully started and operational, the switch we turned to ground will just flick back to off, and you can hear that. Or actually, there you go. You just miss it, but it flicked off. So both engine are started now. Now you can transfer whole electric power to the engine generators to relieve the APU, right? And what we can do is start engine bleed, turn off APU bleed, start the PAX air condition, and also turn off the APU. So that's it. We are going to taxi soon, so I'm going to start the taxi lights. But before I go to taxi, what I need to do is set up the flaps. So that will be 1, 2, and 5. Flaps 5. And no point of setting up flaps before you start the engine, because hydraulics is not working. So you set up flaps after you start the engine. And this is Boeing, this is not Airbus, so you don't have to arm speed brake for takeoff. You don't have to. Okay, so now we are actually ready for taxi. So what I'm going to do is just release parking brake. Give it a little bit of thrust just to start moving. There you go. And then we have taxi out procedure from here. So we are turning immediately left. These things around here are parked. They shouldn't be, but what to do? I cannot control Microsoft Flight Simulator. And you can see that dotted line on the left window. Actually, that is actually taxi out line that we are following to taxi out from our gate, so we don't damage the another aircraft. And after that, we are just following our taxi in line, which is here in front of us. So we just turn back, and then we are following that taxi line over there. And if you need a little bit of speed, you can actually give it more thrust a bit, but practically no need. I'm going to make a full stop here before this climb to the runway, because if I stop on that hill, it will be very difficult to move the aircraft again. So you can see that we have to climb up the hill on the runway. So I'm going to stop here. Let's stop. What we need to do is actually turn on runway light, landing light, switch the engine to continuous ignition for the takeoff, right? Continuous ignition for the takeoff, and we need to turn on our transponder. That is it. Now we can give it again a little bit of thrust. It's going to start moving. And then we can enter the runway. This is up the hill, so actually we want to gain some speed before we go up, otherwise it is going to stuck somewhere on the half of the hill and we will have a problem. So you don't want to brake here, or especially you don't want to stop here. You just keep going. And now when we come to the runway, actually we can reduce our thrust. So we are not taxi too fast. But backtrack on runway you can do approximately, well, maximum I believe 30 knots. You can do it like 30 knots, but I will not. I'm going to do it less. I better like slow down my taxi. And let's check it one more time. Auto brake is on RTO, flaps is 5, auto throttle arm, flight director on, okay. Our heading, actually, we need to set up our heading, runway heading. It's going to be 050, right? Our runway heading. And in Boeing, you actually always want to match your heading with the current heading, because you never know when ATC is going to tell you go left heading 020 or something, and you want actually your heading to match. Or if your autopilot accidentally die because of certain reason, you want actually to be able to switch to heading anytime, and you want your heading in that moment to match, because it will not be like in Airbus. Airbus actually matching heading by itself, automatic, but in Boeing we need to match our heading to our real heading by hand. Maybe that is a little bit, I mean, look, this is older aircraft than Airbus, and you actually cannot compare those two. I believe that Airbus is super easy to fly. Boeing is a little bit harder because you need to do many things that in Airbus you don't have to do. You also have bigger number of flaps. It doesn't make it necessary bad aircraft, it's just older, you know. I believe that 737 MAX is different. I never flown that thing and I don't know how it works, but this is the first aircraft that I learned how to fly and I love it. It is awesome. Okay, so we are line up with the runway, match our heading with the runway heading, and what we can do is actually press our brake, advanced our throttle to 40 something, wait until it's stabilized, release your brake and press takeoff go around button, toga button. Now you just apply gentle press on the yoke down to put nose down a little bit, and let's go in takeoff. 80 knots. V1.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate. And we have positive rate.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. I am actually following a flight director. As you can see, I am following the purple line on my main display, and it tells me that I need to turn, so I am turning. Now you can actually arm your LNAV already. I am flying by hand at the moment, and I am trying to match the flight director. We are at flap 1, so let's switch to flap 1. Okay, and now when I am aligned with flight director, I can just start the autopilot. And now we can zoom in here, we can turn off the auto brake, we can put the gear in the off position, we can zoom out a little bit our flight plan to see how it's gonna be. So see, that's the bubble I was talking about. Now we are flaps 1, almost flaps up, so let's bring the flap to 1. Let's stay on flap 1 for a while, because we have speed restriction here. You can see that we are actually restricted to 188 knots. So I'm not going to bring the flap all the way up yet until this purple thing go up to 250. So I'm going just to leave it as it is, flaps 1, because flap 1 here is the limit. And I don't wanna bring flaps up. I could actually, technically I could, but I will not. I can now bring here init ref page, approach page, and here actually our legs. So we are leveled on 5000. Now we need to be here on this waypoint, we need to be on 7500 below. So it means that we will we will still be below our QNH, below our transition altitude, right? Okay. So 7,500 below. You can see that FMC will have that restriction and it will obey. See, 7,200 and still sticking to that. So now after we pass this waypoint, then it's going to start the climb back again. There you go. Now we are moving to split VOR. That one have restriction, doesn't have restriction, but we should be on flight level 110 at this moment. Next waypoint have restriction of 8,000 above, so we can be above as much as we want. And Sirmi also we need to be above 105, so we are good. And now, see, our speed is going to up and we can totally pull the flaps. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Our top of climb will be within 20 miles. That's fine. But FMC actually say earlier a bit, but we will see. We are in transition altitude because this one become yellow, so what we need to do is switch to standard. Okay, and now when we pass that 1,000 feet, also what we need to do is switch the engine continuous ignition to off and also turn off our lights. That's it. That is it. Now we are accelerating after 10,000 feet. We are accelerating to our cruise speed, to our climb speed actually. Not yet cruise speed. And what we can do actually is we can already tune because it is very close. We will be very close to our top of descent. Let's zoom out a little bit and let's see. Our top of descent is within 55 miles. So we want to be ready. So I'm going to click on initref page. Initref page. And here you have your frequency and course for your ILS on Zagreb. It's already set up. It will tell you. So we need to set up course of 043. And you want it here 043 and also on the other side 043 and also 109.5. That one you want to set up here 105 sorry, let me just 105. Oh, 109, geez, 109.5. Okay, click 109.5. Click, and now it's in active frequency. So we have set up our ILS frequency for the arrival. We can go back to legs here, so we can monitor our restrictions. And approach ref can stay here on this side for the moment. So we are very close to our top of climb. And it looks beautiful, really. It's amazing. And one thing that I forget to do, I mean, it's not significant thing, but just put position lights to strobe and steady. So now we have that strobes, blink, 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 right? You need to set that up when you actually entering the runway. That is why we using checklist and I don't. Well, if I use checklist, I will not forget that. But now I'm recording video, so I cannot think about everything. Regarding our approach speed and flaps, actually, we can set that up immediately. So I'm choosing flaps 30. Usually we land on flaps 30 unless we have super short runway. Then we are going to land with flaps 40. But Airbus always landing with full flaps. Boeing not. Boeing usually landing with flaps 30. So I'm going to put them in Scratchpad and copy them here. So this is our reference speed, and you can see that here already set. This may change with time, so you can compare later when you're landing. If we spend some fuel or something, this speed can go lower down, so you can just copy it and re-enter here again. But even if you don't, it's not a mistake, but you can monitor that. Now let's switch to lag. That's why I like to have approach page here on this second FMC. Okay, so now we are flying to our top of descent, which is going to happen just before Monid and Rudik, before we enter our arrival, right? Arrival first and then approach, yes. So that is it. We are flying now, and this video is already 46 minutes, and it's going to take a while. It's gonna be like maybe 1.5 hour video, but it's okay. I don't mind, because I thought maybe my previous few videos were not clear enough, so I wanted to explain more detail actually what I'm doing. And maybe it will be easier for you to understand the Boeing better, because I know it's actually a difficult aircraft. And one thing I wanted to say is these blue lines. You can see these blue lines. Unlike the Airbus, where you set up your throttle and you don't move, here I can move my throttle. You can see I'm moving my throttle, and this one will match actually the position of the throttle that I'm moving. So I physically moving my joystick, my throttle, and actually it's very important when you land, because you want to match the throttle with the actual throttle, because in Boeing you have moving levers. You can see they are non-stop constantly moving and updating, because they have motors inside. In Airbus you have detent, you click in that and you don't move, and then computer do everything for you. But in Boeing you have moving levers, so actually you want to match your joystick with that. When you landing, when you turn off auto throttle, you want it to be matched, so that's why they put this here, so you can actually see what is your joystick position regarding the real throttle in the aircraft. So that's why you have those blue lines. So if I pull the throttle down, it's gonna be down. If I pull it all the way up, it's gonna be all the way up. And now is almost matched. Right, that's it. So that is it. This green line will show you approximately when you going to reach. It sometimes show here because of the wind. If you drop your cruise altitude or something, it will show. But actually in descent, when we set up here 3000 feet or 4000 feet, it will show that arch will show actually approximately where in relation to the route where actually you're gonna reach that altitude. So that is it. TD is top of descent. This is the point where we need to already set up our NCP altitude. And unlike the Airbus, you don't have to click anything. If you wanna descend earlier, you can click here on Alt Intervention, right, button. But if you wanna descend within the plan, within the FMC, you don't click anything. You just set up here. For example, 3000 feet. Let's set up. we set up 3000 feet and you don't do anything. Boeing will just start descend when reach this green waypoint, right? Also, when we go to descend, we're gonna set up our auto brake, but that one later. We need to set up our minimums. Our minimums by the chart. Let me just open the chart because I don't have open the chart yet. So Zagreb. Let me see. Approach ILS Zulu. ILS Zulu. Let's see. ILS Zulu. So our ILS altitude is going to be 3000 feet, so that one is our intercept altitude, right? We are coming from Exxon, you can see here, Exxon 4000, and then here you need to be at 3000 before the glide slope. Our decision altitude or minimum is going to be 553 baro or 200 radio. So I'm gonna insert 553 baro on in the here. Let me show you. Here you can switch. If you switch to radio, then it's radio. If you switch to baro, then it's baro, and then you can crank it up. We need to enter 553. Is it 553? Let me see. 553, right? So 553, you need to spin this thing until you reach to 553. And that is going to be our minimum. There you go. You can see it here, right? That is your minimum. You can switch data here, and then if you zoom out a little bit, well, you can see actually the time where you're going to arrive on that waypoint, and also if there is any restriction, it will show, but restriction will be shown anyway on certain waypoints. It should be, but you can always see them here, right? You can also turn on terrain radar if you need it. We don't have any big terrain around Zagreb, so we don't need terrain radar here, but you can turn terrain radar if you need it. It is fully operational, right? So one more thing, but that one I will actually mention when we are in approach already. When you enter the glide slope, after you capture localizer, your LMAV will turn off and you will be in a localizer mode, in approach mode, right? When you enter the glide slope, your VNAV will go off. And unlike the Airbus, where auto throttle controlling the throttle of the Airbus all the time, on Boeing, when VNAV is off, Boeing will follow what it say here in this quadrant. So this is going to be your speed, and you need to set up that speed with this knob according to your flaps. That is something you need to do manually until you turn off the auto throttle. When you turn off the auto throttle, then you setting up your speed with your joystick. But while you are on the glide slope, before the landing, you are going to be in glide slope mode, and VNAV will be off, so you will have to lower down the speed manually. That is very important to mention, because if you are used to Airbus, on Airbus you don't have to do it. As soon as you add the flaps, it will lower down the speed automatically, but on Boeing it will not. You need to lower down the speed and then add the flaps, and then lower down the speed, add the flaps, and that's how you do. So we are almost at top of descent, and you can see now we have our data here, and we are starting descent. See the throttle say retard because it's slowing down. It will automatically, as long as the VNAV is on, it will automatically control your throttle. If I turn off the VNAV now, let's say if you want to descend by by vertical speed, when you click on vertical speed, automatically VNAV will go off, and you need to control your speed manually. That's how it is. If ATC tell you earlier, then you have top of descent here. If they tell you descent to 7,000 feet, you will crank up 7,000 feet, and now you can decide. Either you will go with vertical speed down, and then you need to adjust your throttle, or you will click Alt intervention, and then it will do automatic for you. It will descend to 7,000 feet, but it will follow the auto throttle that is already here. So it's a little bit different concept of flying this Boeing, comparing it with Airbus, because Airbus have different logic, and we didn't set up our transition level. Okay, let me show you how to set up transition level. We go to descent page, forecast, and here you have transition level, and on Zagreb is 110, and when we set up 110, it's gonna be green. Usually for the default is set up 180 as in USA, but we now set it up on 110. On Airbus you don't have to set up that because it have automatically in the database, but in Boeing we have to set up our transition altitude and transition level. So we are slowly descending and almost will be entering our arrival. And these two green dots here, you can see them, right? These two green dots mean that you're gonna reach 10,000 feet and you need to decelerate. And Boeing actually, now let me show you one more thing. Here on cruise, no? See here, Boeing have, because in US, if you click on descent, in US restriction on 10,000 feet is 240, not 250. In Europe is 250. It is going to be always default 240. You can change that, or you can just take it as it is. So I like it actually 240, so I leave it. You can change that to 250 if you write 250 / 10,000 and then put here and then execute. It's going to be 250 on 10,000 or below. Otherwise it's going to be 240 because that is how in US they follow. In US they go 240 below 10,000. In Europe we go 250 below 10,000. So that dot mean that we're gonna reach 10,000 feet, and we need to decelerate if we are above 250, but we are not, so it's gonna be fine. See, it's gone. And now we have another green dot. It say decelerate. That is actually the place where you are going to start putting your flaps. You going to start to add flaps because you have many flaps until 30. 1, 2, 5. You can skip. You can go flaps 1 and then flaps 5 And actually flaps 5 and flap 10 is going to be on the same speed. So you can switch immediately to flap 10, gear down, then flaps 15, 25 and 30. You can skip flaps. People skip. Usually they always skip number 2. Sometimes even number 5. They go 1 and then 10. See? 11,000 feet. Where was that green dot? Now it's gone because I set up 250 speed, but otherwise it will be here, and we will decelerate from 250 to 240 here at 10,000 feet. And now we are at 10,000 feet. What we need is our QNH. So our QNH on Zagreb today is 1012, and good thing is that you can actually preset 1012 already in advance, and then when you need it, just press standard and it's gonna switch to 1012. We can also start our lights, and below 10,000 feet you again wanna switch engine to continuous ignition, and also you wanna turn on the lights. Now let's see our approach page. It is still 126. That is good. We can leave it now and see this arch, this green arch, actually telling us that we are going to be on 3,000 feet somewhere here, but that is what is estimation, but it will not be, because on Exxon we have restriction of 4,000 feet. So actually airplane will not descend to 3,000 feet before Exxon. This is just estimation. It will tell you how much, if you really need to go to 3,000 feet, how much actually distance you need. This is just estimation, so it will not be like that. So it won't go to 3,000 feet. It will go to 4,000 feet and stop. Because you can see on Exxon we need to be 4,000 above. But on this waypoint, next waypoint, well, actually this waypoint, we had to be at 8,500 below, and we are. And now we're gonna descend to 4,000 feet, not to 3,000 feet. Don't worry. See, it's already gone past. So if we see, it's going to be somewhere here. Right? You just need to learn how to read this display. It's actually super easy, and let me just zoom in a bit. It's super easy. So we have slow down before this turn. We're gonna add our flaps here, our first flaps. Sorry, I'm talking too much and my throat is gone already. I'm not used to talk that much. All video, jeez. Let me see. 1 hour and 3 minutes, and we are in, well, okay, we are on approach almost, which is good. Let me just drink a little bit of water because I won't be able to speak until we land. Much better. Okay. Okay, so 6,000. Yeah, good. We can now set up our auto brake to 2. That is like medium. Let's say medium. And practically nothing else. We are good as we are. We have already set our QNH, we have minimums, we have set flaps in the FMC, which is good. I didn't match heading all the time. Many times I forget that, but actually the real pilots, they always match heading. So you always, we are now in heading 312. So we're gonna set up 312. After we turn, we're gonna set up to, I don't know which one will be, like 048 or something like that. You know, you need to match the heading. Because if your heading is like whatever, and then if you press heading select, you actually are going to fly in the direction where is your heading. Okay, 5,000 feet, almost 4,000. Excellent, which is good, right? Let's zoom in a little bit. We have here extended runway line, so we know already it is soon, right? And when we reach before this, we can start adding our flaps. So I will add flap 1, and you can see that is designed to slow down a little bit. Flap 1 will slow us down to about 175 knots. And see, we are on Exxon above 4,000 feet, and now when we pass Exxon, we actually will be able to capture our localizer. So I'm going to press approach, and it will immediately capture localizer, and it will arm our glide slope. Now let me tell you about Autoland, because I'm sure that many of you already tried Autoland, and sometimes it happened that you turn on the second autopilot and it will just switch to that second autopilot, and it will not turn both autopilots on. So actually now is about to time where you need to decide, are you going to autoland this airplane or you going to land it manually. Now is about to time. So if you now engage your second autopilot, it is going to stay on. If you do it below 1,000 feet, it will just switch to autopilot B, but it will turn off autopilot A, and you won't be able to engage Autoland. So let's execute Autoland today. Let's do Autoland, because I didn't show you last time. I turned off the auto throttle and I land manually. So let's execute Autoland. Let's actually add flaps 5, and let's put the gear down now, because our glide slope is close to the middle, so we want to slow down a little bit. And also, as soon as our glide slope capture, it will turn off our VNAV, and we will have to set up the speed manually. I will show you. Let's add flap 10, which is actually on the same speed like flap 5. Let's also arm the speed brake. This one is very important, to arm the speed brake. And there is our glide slope. And you can see VNAV is off, and our speed is now on MCP controlled. So now what we need to do, if you want to add flaps, let's say I add flaps 25, flaps 15, I need to move this by myself. So I need to scroll and move the speed to 15. See? And airplane will slowly slow down to that speed. And now when it comes to that speed, we are on 2000. Now I'm gonna add flaps 25, and now we are going to our ref speed of 126. So I will just put 126 here, and you can already add flaps 30. And that's it. That is all. So now we have both autopilots on. And this is good actually, opportunity to show you Autoland too. So we have two autopilots and we make that decision before we capture glide slope. Actually you can still do it. Even now on 2000 feet you can still turn on the second autopilot and it will stay on. If you go below 1000 feet it will not. Okay, so let's say it's super bad visibility and we cannot see and we need to auto land. So what we are going to do, we just decide, okay, and see, it will be armed, localizer, glide slope, two autopilots, and also flare is armed. So flare is already armed because we are doing auto land, right? This sound is from outer marker, which will show you here that you are passing outer marker. We are nicely on the glide slope, nicely on the localizer. Everything is good. Auto brake is on. Speed brake is armed. Lights are on. Heading. We need to set up runway heading of 043, 042. And also you can already set up, when you enter the glide slope, you can set up 4000 feet. That will be your go around altitude. So let's do it. Gonna set up our go around altitude. Now, in this case, you don't have to do anything. What is good for you to do is set up the throttle on your joystick all the way down to idle. So you don't have to match it. You just pull all the way down your, because it is going to lower down the throttle for you. You don't have to do anything. Okay? The only thing what you need to do to stay center line is as soon as you touch down, you need to off the autopilot. That is the most important, because you don't, this Boeing doesn't have capability to keep you center line after landing. So you need to do it by yourself. So there is flare.
40, 30, 20, 10.
There is touchdown and autopilot off. See? And now we can start our reverse thrust. $60 knots. And now manual braking. And that's it. There is, I will show you that later. There is a thing that you can change in your settings and it will follow the center line. Let me just pull the speed brake. Let's pull the flaps all the way up. Let's turn the engine to off. Let's start the APU. Turn on the taxi light. Turn off the runway and landing lights. Alright. And then what we need to do is turn off our transponder. And there is a thing. Let's just taxi to the gate and then I will try to find it together with you, because I also already forget. What else we can do is actually turn off the auto brake. We can also recycle our flight directors because we don't need them anymore. And now we are going to taxi to the gate. Let's just taxi to the gate, and I'm going to find that option that you need to change in your FMC. Actually, it's just an option that will change the technology inside of aircraft. So there is aircraft with old technology, and majority is like this. You have only two buttons here, engine and system. But there is, if you have third button here, if you have that button, then you have actually that newer technology, which actually allow you to keep the center line after Autoland. I've learned that from the real pilot, actually, and I forget the name of that in the FMC, but we will find it together because it cannot be that difficult, right? When I see, I will remember. That's how it works with my brain. Let's slow down a little bit. And let's park. If possible. Maybe a little bit more. Something like this. Hopefully I am on the line. Let's check. Maybe not. Oh yes, I am on the line. Very good. Usually I have problem to aim the line because there is no marshaller here on Zagreb and there is no any device that will show you when to stop, so I have problem to finding the line, but I managed somehow. Okay, good. Now what we need to do is set up our parking brake. That is number one. Set up our parking brake. Our APU should be already on, yes, and we can switch electricity to the APU, and we can switch engine bleeds off and turn on APU bleed, turn off the PACs, and then we are going down and we turn off the engine, just cut off the fuel. So that's it. Fuel is cut off. Now that is it. You can turn off these three fuel pump and leave only the one with for the APU. But what else you can do is go down to FMC, to menu, to FS actions, ground services. You can set up wheel chocks. You can request ground power. You can actually open the doors. You can open the doors. You can open the cargo doors. Ground services. Next page. Fuel truck. Stairs. Stairs. No. Jetway. You can just ask for jetway from the... And there is it. It's moving. The jetway. Okay. And that's it. Now, when you have ground power available, and it is already, you can switch to ground power. Now APU is relieved. You can turn it off and turn off exit lights, turn off the fuel pump, turn off the APU bleed. You can also switch the heat to auto. This also need to be off, and it's off already. I forget to turn it on. That's Windows heat, but we don't need it. That is what we need, and I'm going to leave the power on because we need that settings. And let's just try to find it. Equipment. What was that? What was that setting? Let me just try to find it for you. This is call outs only. Wait, is it here? Let me go again. Aircraft equipment. Yeah, it should be here. But I cannot remember what was that thing. Ooh, hopefully I will find it. You can put eyebrow windows if you want, right? Wi-Fi antenna, headrest, auto ignition, no. Maybe it's not there, maybe it's in this place. I really cannot remember. I don't think it's in this place. I think it's there. Let's go back. Let's go back. It must be here on equipment. Let me just zoom out a little bit, and let's watch when I change something. Here need to appear one button, and when that button appear, actually that's it. That's the thing we need. So we looking at here one button, but let me check. Let me check. What is that option? Jeez. Oh. No, not this one. It's not short field package. It's not flight test package. Okay. Definitely it's not eyebrow windows and pitch style. Wi-Fi antenna. That one you can put if you want on your auto ignition. Then nothing. Oh, fail op. That's it. Fail pass and fail op. That's it. There you go. Now, if you put your Autoland to fail op, then you will have this button, and then that button actually, I don't know what is for, but when you have set up fail op here, you will, so actually you go to PMDG setup, to aircraft, equipment, and first thing here, Autoland fail op, you need to have this button here, and then after you Autoland, your autopilot will actually keep the center line. That's it. That's the thing. Yeah, so that's it. Now what we can do is actually completely shut down the aircraft. So how we gonna do it? We just turn off the ground power, turn off the standby power, disarm the emergency exits, all right, and then turn off our battery. And finally, our airplane is cold and dark. We have connected jetway, we have opened our cargo doors, if cargo truck wanna come or not, whatever, but we are done. So that's it. I hope you have any use from this tutorial. It will be a long video. I already see it. It's 1 hour 24 minutes. And yeah, thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can always ask me in the comments. You can also join Discord. I always forget to say that. I have my own Discord. There is not many people there, but if you want, you can join to Discord, and actually let's make that Discord a little bit more active because nobody talking at the moment there. So actually we can start talking, we can exchange our experience, you can ask me things or whatever, and let's make it just place where we can hang and talk and, you know, share our experience and knowledge. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. And next video, I believe I'm going to do, well, I will not make any promises, but now in my head is something like I did now with the Boeing. I think I'm going to do again with the Airbus full flight tutorial, because there was many updates in fly-by-wire, and I want to do it for you. And I still, unfortunately, I'm unable to buy Phoenix, so I won't be able to give you that tutorial, but I promise as soon as I buy that thing, I am going to make tutorial. But at this moment, I am not able, so sorry. I will do another fly-by-wire video for all of us poor people who don't have money to buy Phoenix. So we are going to fly-by-wire, and as soon as I actually have planned to buy Phoenix, but I have some expenses recently, so at this moment I just can't. Otherwise I will already make tutorial, but as soon as I get Phoenix, I will make tutorial about Phoenix. But now, next video, it will be full flight tutorial Airbus, because it was many updates. So I think we need to update our knowledge. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye!